Okay, welcome everybody. Welcome to the Construct Innovate webinar series on construction or digital construction technology. And today we're going to be speaking about digital platforms. So absolutely, sorry, my name is Jamie Goggins and I'm the a co-director of Construct Innovate, which is Ireland's National Research Centre for Construction Technology and Innovation. And we're delighted to be joined by three fantastic speakers today. So we've got Rachel Hart from Design ID, and she's going to talk about practical delivery of projects through Autodesk Construction Cloud. We've got Javier Dubussian from RetroKit, who's going to talk about digitalization and a tool that they have for renovation services, in particular around housing. And we have Rembrandt Koppeler from EcoWise, who've done a lot of different, created different platforms, construction platforms themselves, and he's going to talk about some of those platforms in there. So without further ado, I will hand over to Rachel, who's going to give the first presentation. So thanks, Rachel.
So yeah, today I'm going to be presenting on managing project delivery in the Autodesk Construction Cloud. I'll go over who I am and the company I work for. I'll discuss some of the functions and the use of Autodesk Construction Cloud, and I'll close out with some of the main benefits of using a common data environment such as this. So as a bit of an introduction to myself, my name is Rachel Hart. I'm a senior civil engineering technician working for Design ID. I have a bachelor's degree in design and I've achieved Eng Tech with the ICE. My specializations and interests within the company include CAD, quality processes, training, and BIM. We are a small to medium-sized enterprise who work across multiple sectors. The sectors of note would be structural, civil, and infrastructure, but with a key specialization in conservation, modular, and sustainability. We also have an active, dedicated digital and innovation team who work on creating tools and processes to allow us to be more efficient, such as the Bay Builder tool. Bay Builder is an end-to-end bespoke MMC digital design and modeling product. It unlocks a circular design process to a high level of detail whilst still facilitating an iterative design journey, and it won the most innovative new software product in 2022. Design ID are based in Hillsborough, but we also have an office in London and a newly opened office in Dublin. All the yellow here indicates counties we have completed projects in, and the orange indicates county councils we have an active tender or framework agreements with, and we hope that this new office will provide us with the geographical reach to allow us to take on more work throughout Ireland. So just to refer briefly back to last week's presentation of the series, the digital adoption in the construction industry, we established the importance of the quality of information, interoperability, and pushing forward with digital adoption in reality. So following on from that, we know what BIM is, we know that there's a need for it, we know that interoperability is vital since we're bringing all our information together, and it all needs to be accessible by different people in different companies using different software packages. And we know we need to improve our information management and keep up the efforts to drive digital innovation in the industry. So this presentation will establish how the Autodesk Construction Cloud can accommodate all these things in one unified environment. So firstly, we'll identify the challenges the industry faces when it comes to the management of information. We'll look at how a common data environment can provide a solution to these challenges, whilst establishing what a common data environment actually is and how it works. Then I'll show you the Autodesk Construction Cloud or ACC interface and discuss how to use it for your project delivery. Once we understand how the ACC environment works, I'll go into more detail on some of the intricacies and functions that are available that allow you to integrate it through your project lifecycle. So we all have had to deal with hardware and software issues in our work, programs crashing, blue screens, backups failing, etc. We are also all capable of accidentally deleting an important file and being unable to retrieve it. These are problems common with inadequate data storage methods. Some other challenges we face in the industry are tight profit margins, tight deadlines, uncertainty in information accuracy, and inaccessibility of information from other parties. A great way to combat all these challenges is through effective information management, and a great way to effectively manage information is through the use of a CDE or common data environment. Considering data loss can really be detrimental to the momentum of our work. Having a safe storage system that we can be confident in is key. So you can see here, every time we lose information and we have to redo work, we're taking a step backwards. This can represent physical loss of data or poor information management, where the information hasn't been shared to the right people at the right time, causing delays and costing money. Typically, without a common data environment, this is how information travels between various parties. This means different parties are informed of progressions in the design at different times, which will result in outdated information being used, and the federated designs will never be entirely accurate without flawless management of information in every discipline. Conversely, if we use a common data environment, we can not only ensure project information is stored securely, but it's accessible by all involved in the project. It can provide a bespoke workflow unique to the requirements of that project, and BIM standards can actually be enforced, as anything other than the standard is not accepted by the software. Ultimately, the three main functions of any digital platform can be summarized in the 3 Cs: communication, collaboration, and coordination. We can manage design exchanges between teams, track design stages to ensure the correct information is being issued to the right people at the right time, and it provides accountability and traceability of information so we can look back at the timeline of any given document. So let's take a look at the interface of ACC. Any screenshots shown here are either taken out of training programs or have sensitive information redacted. This is currently showing the docs area, which is where I'll be mainly focusing my attention today, but there are other options available such as build, model coordination, and cost management, showing quite how all-encompassing this platform can be. Here we have our project title where we can switch between different projects, our folders that contain all our project documents from all disciplines. This can be set up as bespoke depending on the project requirements. You can also create a template project folder structure. This is where we can upload our documents to the CDE. So that could be a new document or an existing document. ACC will do the document management for you and store previous version information. And this is where we can view other relevant documentation relating to coordination. The functions available to enable better communication within ACC includes issues, reviews, and transmittals. These can be of great benefit not only to the project as a whole, but to your internal team communications also. Starting with issues, the issues tool allows you to track work across the construction lifecycle and create references to photos, files, RFIs, assets, and more. It allows you to create issues quickly and easily from the field. These can be viewed together across the whole project and filtered to different types. You can link an issue to a particular location in a model or document and go directly to that location when reviewing the information. This makes it simple to identify problems, prevent delays, and manage work on your projects. With greater visibility and the ability to track progress, you'll be able to deliver quality work on time. Reviews allows you to send files for review using the approvals workflow feature. As a document manager, you need to distribute project drawings, models, and files for review and approval before construction can begin. The approval workflow feature enables project administrators to facilitate, control, and automate the distribution of files to project members. Members designated as reviewers can then review and comment on the files, and members designated as approvers can give final approval for the files to be used. Then on to transmittals. Transmittal is a formal means of sending files to another project member or team. The transmittals tool allows you to see a list of all transmittals along with the details like the status, transmittal ID, title, sender, recipients, creation date, and the number of files included. In terms of collaboration, we can first talk about access. So project administrators can manage all project members and their respective properties from the members tool. Properties include company, role, access level, and product access. A role could be selected from the list, provided it could be bespoke, created by you for the unique needs of your project. And Autodesk doesn't decide what these roles mean. That can be up to you, and you can decide what each of these roles do and what they're responsible for, whether that's project manager, architect, or structural engineer. So it might take some extra time to set up a project, but it gives you that bit of extra control over how it all works together. If we look at our folder structure, we might want different disciplines to only have access to certain areas, in which case we can change the permission settings. We'll then be able to select the permission level of any individual member, and it's also worth noting that you can template these settings and reuse them. When we look at our files in the docs area, we could have a plethora of file types, but the docs viewer is capable of viewing virtually every well-known commercially accepted file type available. These could include CAD drawings, so you don't actually need CAD to be able to view this and be able to turn layers on or off, etc. However, it's not just Autodesk products that are compatible. You could be using MicroStation files, SketchUp files. They're all compatible to view from this area of ACC. So this is how, with a digital platform, it immediately becomes so much easier to collaborate between disciplines. To coordinate the design, we'll also use the issues tool here, as well as comparisons and clash detection. There's a specific design collaboration area which you can use to track changes, create meetings and record items that come out of those meetings, store emails and other various tools. Within the docs area, which is our focus today, there is a compare tool available that allows you to compare versions of files. So if you want to see what's changed between version 1 and version 3, you can do that. You can view this as an overlay with new and omitted elements highlighted, or you can view it as a side-by-side slider. You can use ACC to mark up drawings. So you can see there are comments and issues that are connected to this drawing. The circles you see in gray are issues that are closed out, and the ones that are yellow are still active. Issues can be assigned to a particular person to make them responsible for that update. That person could then update their drawing and upload it and set the status of the issue to complete. The project administrator would then get a notification that the status has changed on their issue. So they can go in and review that and either close it out or reopen it if they're not happy with the solution. The next feature we'll want to look at is model coordination. So this is not within the docs area. This is its own tool. What happens quite often is each team is operating separately and carrying out their own clash detection. So to avoid duplication of work, we would just do this within the platform instead. So within the ACC environment, we would set up our folders, link the models together and run clash detection within the software. Here I'm showing a clash matrix that displays all the models that are currently clashing. Then we can set up views. So here's a view of HVAC versus structure. This will update automatically every time you upload a new model and show you the most current versions. So we can see here there's currently 50 clashes. I can identify each of these clashes by selecting them, and it'll bring me to that particular clash and highlight the elements involved. I can create an issue directly from within the clash detection. So here I could select the clash, select create issue and locate it in the model. I can then assign that to someone. It will create a screenshot for you, and then within the MEP model linked in Revit, you can actually address those issues also. So I've barely scraped the surface here of all the functionalities of a typical digital platform, as you could probably talk about it for hours. What is key though is how each of these functionalities contributes to a streamlined project workflow, and it helps us as an industry to incorporate digital into all these processes and create a better end product. The design and planning stages are all about working together to find a solution. We can review buildability, collaborate with other disciplines and coordinate, working out any kinks digitally before anything actually gets to site, as the most dangerous place to solve problems is on site. The build stage is when the project is on site, and we can also make use of ACC here. So any reports, photographs, site-related information, it can all be managed within the platform, and any changes required can be communicated and then tracked. The operate stage is about asset lifecycle and maintenance. So this can also be submitted, reviewed, and tracked on ACC. While actually working on the project, we can designate a workflow that documents or drawings must follow. So for example, I create a drawing and it is a work in progress. So I complete that, I send it for review. I might have to update it once or twice, and then it can be approved and move further along the workflow. On ACC, I can specify who reviews these drawings and how many review stages there are, so it can suit the needs of each individual project. You can also use the platform to import a schedule from a third party and view it as a list or a Gantt chart. Then you can add relevant objects from across the project to each schedule activity. And that's just a few examples of different tools that are part of the Autodesk Construction Cloud. So in summary, using a digital platform will benefit your project workflow because it is secure. Data uploaded here is safe. It won't be lost from hardware or software failures. And once uploaded, permissions can dictate who has the ability to edit or delete files as required. From a health and safety perspective, good information management reduces risk in design and on-site. Better time management as there is more clarity on deadlines and project stages and less time spent redoing work or looking for information. Improved communication between all members of the project across disciplines. It will give everyone a clearer picture of what's expected and result in less clashing. It is a single environment where you can view all different types of information easily and work together with other disciplines. It gives you the ability to quickly review the most up-to-date information without any doubt of accuracy. So in Design ID, we're using ACC every day. Among other common data environments, all of them serve a similar purpose, but I find ACC to have a nice user interface and it's quite all-encompassing. We find that it's very effective in managing our quality processes compared to other manual methods. In future, I'm sure they will only continue developing it as a platform. So we as a company like to stay up to date with the most modern means of project management. It ensures a better quality end product with an easier method of achieving this. And this benefits not only ourselves, but other designers, contractors, and clients as well. So that's my presentation, and I hope you found that useful. Thanks. That's me.
Brilliant, Rachel. That's fantastic. Very informative in there. So if you have any questions to pose to our speakers, to Rachel or other speakers, then at the bottom of your screen, you should see the Q&A button in there, so you can put your questions in there, and either our speakers will answer them in the background or else we'll pose them to them after all three speakers have finished. So without further ado, I'll pass over to Javier for his presentation all around their digital tool and RetroKit for the retrofit service. Over to you, Javier.
Great. Okay. Well, lovely to be following on Rachel's presentation. There's really a lot of, it's a similar thinking and ideas and functionalities that you have displayed there, and what we certainly envisage for RetroKit. I don't think we are that far advanced in our platform development to cover all aspects of energy retrofit projects, but we're building blocks, and the vision is to be an end-to-end platform. So it's great to see the kind of workflows and functionalities you have within that platform. In terms of my presentation, the focus will be very much on energy renovation in housing. I'll give you a bit of context. I want to introduce you to the company, the team behind the platform, and discuss the different elements of the platform, the services it provides, and the functionalities that are available to our users to deliver on their energy retrofit projects. And I'll talk about integration as well, which is a key aspect of digital platforms these days. So in terms of context, I think we all operate within the same framework of drivers. So as far as housing is concerned and its energy performance, we have a huge challenge across Europe where 146 million homes will have to be upgraded within the next 30 years. And that is to achieve climate neutrality. So we're going to see huge investment in that space. I think we're at the very early stages of that happening, but we can already see very significant levels of funding coming in from the public sector and the private sector gearing up behind us to deliver on the ambitious targets. We can discuss the targets and how challenging they are and how slow progresses, but nevertheless there is progress. There is a lot of things happening, and we want to be part of that journey. The kind of three pillars in terms of our mission statements are, generally speaking, energy performance and upgrading energy performance housing, but that's very much in the context of climate action and the importance of buildings and housing in particular in that context. It also comes with a critical challenge across Europe around fuel poverty, which is now prevalent, but one in every 3 households is experiencing fuel poverty across Europe and including here in Ireland. And together with that and the crisis that's arisen from the war in Ukraine, we have a significant energy security challenge as well. So all these things are interlinked and interplaying, and really influencing how the policy context is developing, and then therefore influencing and driving what's happening on the ground and construction sites included. When we look at how this manifests itself practically here in Ireland in the context of the one-stop shop program for that's driven by ACI, and it's, let's say, it's sister programs, if you want to call it that way, with the Better Energy Homes program, the Warmer Homes program, and generally speaking, SEI's program targeting energy upgrading in buildings and in housing in particular. So the reason I'm pushing here this workflow is just to illustrate the journey a homeowner and different stakeholders in a deep energy renovation project is complex, and how many stakeholders are involved, how maybe fragmented that journey is. And nevertheless, we have a program that's pushing for integration and aggregation of projects through what's generally referred to one-stop shops or larger contractors that are operating in that context and delivering a range of services to homeowners, going from survey, renovation proposals, leveraging funding available from SEI and other sources, bringing finance from lending institutions, then working with contractor through the procurement process, delivering the works, the associated quality assurance, and then there is a life cycle for the project after the works are done, and that people live in these houses and are, let's say, experiencing the energy upgrade in a very practical manner, and have new technologies, new systems that they have to understand and operate in the most efficient way possible. So within that, what we see is again, multiple stakeholders being involved, multiple interactions through the project cycle, and let's say a flurry of different functions and services to be provided. So that brings a level of complexity that's just for one house. We're not talking here about multi-story buildings with large design teams, etc. This is a much smaller project, but nevertheless, it's got all the requirements of a large project in terms of functions and services provided. So to make that work, we believe digitalization will have to play an important role. When we spend a lot of time engaging with our customers or potential customers and users and understanding what their pain points are. And I just want to bring a few forward and to illustrate the case for digitalization. Well, first of all, lack of data to support decision making. So, for example, when we deal with social housing bodies, a lot of the time they don't necessarily have access to their BR data, which is a key driver as a data set to plan and deliver on home energy upgrade projects. And so the first thing to do is to get them access and practical use of that data. But there's a whole layer or several layers of additional data that should be part of the decision making and might not be available purely because people don't really know about it, or it's available just in very siloed environment from different operators or colleagues, etc., and can be our hardware or on cloud-based solutions, etc. So bringing all that together is an important aspect of making that journey we discussed earlier much easier. We've a very well-known problem at this stage, which is there is not enough people in the value chain in terms of the delivery of the works and the planning of the works and the management of projects at all level of the value chain. We have a serious lack of labour force and skill sets. Generally speaking, within the construction industry and within the our different sectors we operate with, and for example, social housing bodies, local authorities, etc., are generally at the early stages of their digitalization journey, and that can be slow. It can be very expensive as well in terms of building and having fit for purposes solutions for, again, a range of activities that are taking place within a business or a housing body in that context. There's a lot of red tape. The fact that there's public funding coming into play, that there's regulations, etc., bring with it a lot of, let's say, bureaucratic requirement and administrative requirements as well, and lots of documents flying all around the place, different boxes to be ticked, for different stakeholders as well. So that brings a lot of administrative burden on projects as well, and quality of outcome is not consistent, and there's a lot to be gained there as well with digitalization, and we have also typically a very fragmented value chain, especially in the construction sector, with most businesses being very small, and we've, let's say, the one-stop shop. The idea is to bring under one umbrella a range of services, but there's quite different models out there in that regard, between one-stop shops having in-house contractors, others subcontracting out of the work delivery. You've got BR assessors, the range of people to be involved, and they can be, a lot of the time they would be independent operators. So having proper communication and workflows and data flows is important in that regard too. So again, in RetroKit, we believe that digitalization is a critical requirement to scaling up energy retrofitting housing. So what does RetroKit offer in that context? So we're a cloud-based software platform that currently focuses very much on the early phases of a project development during the, let's say, awareness raising, education piece, down to the getting project tenders ready, essentially, and the planning phase in there. So the kind of tools we have built within the platform include data management. Again, we leverage primarily BR data, but increasing their clients and bringing other data layers, for example, around stock condition surveys, etc. We have also a range of analytical tools that help our users and clients understand how a dwelling is performing or a housing stock is performing, but also modeling tools that allows them to test and check and optimize different energy renovation options for a given dwelling or a housing stock. Out of the modeling process, that we have a bunch of data that represents the stock post retrofit, say, as well as the cost associated with that. And with that, let's say, data, we can start delivering different services to our users. Generally speaking, the first step is to prepare a strategic plan. So if you are a housing body that has got 10,000 homes and need to achieve a B2 by 2030, for example, or another objective might be decarbonization or eradication of fuel poverty, RetroKit will help you identify what are the optimal solutions in that regard, as well as how to organize that over the given time frame, how much it's going to cost, and look at the impact of those options and plans on a range of KPIs, including CO2, obviously, energy use, energy costs for the occupiers, capital investment, etc., etc. So essentially, we've built a platform that very much is focused on supporting decision making and planning of projects. And out of that, let's say, data management, analysis, and modeling, we can generate a range of reports depending on the needs of our users. When I say we give them the tools to do that, just to be clear. So who do we work with? We've pretty much all the stakeholders at this stage within the project cycle and the value chain I've illustrated earlier, primarily with social housing bodies. That's where we started because we saw scale. We saw the importance of big data with those social housing bodies. And we also recognized that they had already embarked on a digitalization journey, that they were equipped in terms of skills, resources, and sometimes budgets to invest in that area. We also work closely with consultants and BR assessors, who are a key part of the journey in terms of providing the data in the first place, but also different advisory services to homeowners or to one-stop shops, or sometimes energy communities as well. We work closely with one-stop shops, obviously. In fact, what we see increasingly is a direct integration between social housing bodies and one-stop shops in terms of the delivery and the planning, obviously, and the delivery of energy upgrade projects in housing, including within the one-stop shop program in SEI. And we work closely with policymakers at national and local level, where we leverage the data, the intelligence, and the modeling capability of RetroKit to provide, let's say, consultancy services. The platform is also used to deliver energy master plans for SECs around the country, which is often a great place to start, let's say, educating, raising awareness around home energy upgrades, and giving strategic plans on which more concrete practical action can be built on. So the sales pitch would include things like, we are going to reduce risks around the planning and delivery of projects. We're going to save you time and therefore money. That should in turn allow you to free up resources. So, you know, a lot of the process can be quite repetitive, manual, etc. And digitalizing some or all of those processes really enables to focus resources where they're of best use, you know, and that you can also free up resources to scale up your operations. And for us, it's been critical right from the start in developing RetroKit to really work alongside our customers, to understand their needs, to design solutions with them, and really to support them along their journey to make sure that the outcomes of their use case for RetroKit is successful. The team has been growing steadily over the last few years. We're now 7 people in team with a range of skill set between operational and software development and energy engineering, and obviously commercialization. We've been good at winning awards from the start. So here's a few samples whereby, you know, we're gaining credibility and credentials within the marketplace. Just a flavor of what's behind the bonus in the platform. It's built on AWS servers here in Ireland with reliable, secure infrastructure, with built-in machine learning application in the process, particularly around optimization. It's fully scalable in terms of processing power and data management. We've also built a gateway API, which allows us to integrate with other applications, and also including applications that allows us to do rapid prototyping of solutions in partnership with our customers. We've developed strong partnerships with other, let's say, software development service providers in Ireland and abroad to give us more flexibility and ramp up our capability when required on projects. Just a flavor of the platform and the functionalities. This is a screenshot of our data management system and dashboard. on the, let's say, current situation, the baseline energy analysis or performance analysis, but also we have tools to drill down in key elements of your housing stock. So currently we're probably managing in the region of 25,000-30,000 dwellings within the platform. Some of our users would have, you know, some between 5,000 and 10,000 dwellings in their accounts, and we give them the tools to get the big picture, but also to drill down in different components of their housing stock and understand how it's performing, how to prioritize projects, and how to organize them for the planning stage. When it comes to the planning stage, we can model, as I said, different options of energy upgrades, what we call scenarios, based on a database of measures. We've 55 different measures covering anything around fabric upgrades to building services upgrades, renewable energy technologies, etc., and to be able to compare different options or packages of measures on a given dwelling or a housing stock or project, bring back KPIs and visual, let's say, evaluation assessment of how these scenarios perform, and financially and technically as well. And then, as I said, we can generate all sorts of reports out of the process, and you know, can be off-the-shelf reports, shall we say, like a home energy assessment, or can be, let's say, generated out of a data export from the platform for very specific requirements. So we can cover a lot of different use cases and constantly adding to the range of and the nature of reports that can be generated. As I mentioned before, we released our Gateway API earlier this year, and that's really opened up our capability to integrate with other platforms and the overall digital ecosystem our users and clients are dealing with at all stages of their project cycle, from you know, the stage of surveying and peer assessment. Obviously, interacting with SCI's database is important. We're one of SCI's trusted partner, whereby we can access BR data from the national database. All our clients are using CRM systems to manage and organize projects, from the sales step to contract management and interaction with contractors, for example. Finance is going to be bigger issue. Obviously, currently it's mainly driven through the grant program, but we're seeing an increasing number of, let's say, offering for homeowners in the banking system or in credit unions, and that will require data exchanges and integration of, let's say, services within the value chain as well, costing and quotation, etc. I mean, this is just illustrating maybe the use cases for, let's say, construction companies, one-stop shops, but you know, there's equally a plethora of options and requirements when it comes to social housing bodies, between asset management, surveys, maintenance, or management, etc. So, you know, we're constantly exploring, innovating, and experimenting with our clients in that space. I think that will conclude my presentation. I hope that gave you a flavor of what RetroKit is about and how we leverage digitalization to support the upscaling of energy retrofits in housing. Thank
Brilliant.
you.
Thanks a lot, Xavier. Okay, so without further ado, we've gone to our third and final speaker for today, which is Rembrandt, who's going to tell us all about the different digital platforms that they have built at EcoWise, including building logbooks and collaborative platforms. So over to you, Rembrandt.
Thank you, Jamie. I think you can see our website. So we are SME, working already for a while on the construction sector and on digital solutions. Some of what I'm presenting today, we've been developing in 2 projects. One is finished, it's called Meta Building. This is working together with a lot of European construction sector actors. And also now Meta Building Labs, so we're also working with Construct Innovate. And this is on open innovation testbeds. So this is about opening up the market for testing construction products in test labs for certification on the market. And what we do in these projects is that we're working on an ecosystem where you can create a kind of new way of working within the construction sector that is quite disruptive. So we can see that ideas. There we go. This is an example that we if Meta building, but we're also working on a separate portal with Construct Innovate for Irish actors, where we have an ecosystem. Amber, could you close the door? It's a lot of noise. Where we can onboard organizations. So this is a collaborative environment online where you can register as an organization in the construction sector. And you can then together start to provide your capabilities to start with. So innovations. So we have different organizations and so across Europe that then can provide for their innovations and register those and make them more visible. It's like a organizational construction sector specific LinkedIn type environment where you can then show your innovation. This is a solar glass provider. Describe that, add benefits, describe them, add references for it. You may have services, so we also have an area for that. I'll give this example of our organization, and you can provide new innovations. You can list them, technology innovations, material innovations, software innovations, and through that start making those more visible to the market and to other providers, but also start to link those towards innovative project collaborations. So we also have added here, we're working on having working groups where you could have to work together with either private working groups, or we can have personal working groups where you can have a chat function, document management, working on different topics. And then on top of that, we start to work towards common services. And that's where this new way of disruptive working starts to come together, where you can plug in different services in here. And we're talking here about, for example, these test labs that we're talking about. So we recently added this capability, where as an organization, you may have test lab organizations that can then make those visible also to actors in this ecosystem. So the university in Galway will have test facilities that can then be described. What tests can you do here and make that visible and describe those new test facilities. So these are mock examples, but we could have a solar bench. We can make those visible and searchable, and you can then find what is available in Ireland for in terms of testing my construction products. Who should I contact? And make that discovery process much easier. So this is one part, and maybe also have references. We can add references of ongoing tests, completed tests, the procedure, to make that much more easy to market that to a lot of different organizations in one go for test providers and to find. Similarly, one area what we're working on now is that relates to building digital logbooks. So we're also now starting to add capabilities in these platforms to administer building information. This is an example that we're working on, where you in the future, you have your digital portal for your building. That includes the information about the building. This is an example on our site. You may have location information, some standard information, but you can start to add information on the components, so composition, if you have it available. So you may have BIM-based information that you could add here, where we can retrieve that type of data on the building envelope, material composition data where relevant. or if you have specific documents to make that more visible, and with either public access or restricted access to particular participants in that construction sector ecosystem that you're working on. In this example, the history of the building, and there can be associated documents with that, or maybe plugins for live data, for sensor data that are in that building, temperature data, humidity data, to obtain that and to be able to share that with other external providers. This is the key part. It's not just about showcasing it, but maybe there's a innovative company and they have done simulation work, and there is a possibility to then share this type of sensor data to a provider to make it much easier to provide in the renovation toolkit, as the example from Javier, to provide information on, okay, how does this renovation improve the current energy consumption? To make that interoperability much more easy between different services. And also here, where we can look at the components provided and integrate that, we may have information. We have some examples here. So you have the concrete wall, and we have that PV glass provider that we just saw, which has a PV glass, where you can then look at their product passport from the manufacturer of that component, and to provide more specific information, to link that up again in an information layer of, okay, I want to know more about that particular material or a scenario for replacing it, again linking this up, on that solar glass. Okay, it's installed in the building, and you may want to have a guide how to deconstruct it. So we can start to layer these things up and have a lot of different use cases. Or how will it impact the energy consumption? We don't have this live here. This is more on the static information on that product as examples, where we have that at the product level. So product journey, where it's produced in Spain, and in this example, this is a mock example to London. We've logged all of this with our product passports. And so we're working on these different types of products. We are having our collaborative environment, where you can find different organizations or working groups. We're working on having that digital building logbooks, where you can administer buildings here that you may be renovating, or you are related to that are being new build buildings, and then having that down from the building level here, even to individual manufacturer materials that can be integrated. So all these things in the future can be much more linked together to make it much easier to access those different services. That's a flavor of what we're working on, and we're working together with Construct Innovate to be able to provide these type of capabilities also for Ireland, and to set up those type of ecosystems. And in the midterm, also be able to, from some of the participants, work together to integrate more services and to link those together to be able to enrich and make innovation happen much faster, and also to be able to add added value to some of the services, and especially also in terms of environmental and circularity use cases in those building digital logbooks, digital product passports. And there we're, for example, talking about what to do with excess materials ordered on the construction site, providing quicker references on innovative materials that are in pilot buildings that become much more easy to discover on these collaborative platforms, being able to provide quicker information on test facilities for entering the market, where if you have that in this collaborative environment, there can be many win-wins to be able to make that happen. I'll stop here so we have a bit more time for questions.
So just to thank our speakers again for great presentations in there, very informative in there. There's so much that we all have to learn here, so it's great to have different perspectives each week on it. So lots to think about there. So that's the second webinar in our series. So next week we'll look at artificial intelligence, virtual and augmented reality, and 3D data scanning in there. So you'll be able to find that and book through through Engineers Ireland website. And again, thank you everyone for attending today's webinar that's hosted by Engineers Ireland and Construct Innovate. Good day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.